Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel where I talk about movies. And today's video is going to be a little bit of a hodgepodge. I want to talk a little bit about the movies that I've recently purchased that I'll be talking about in the coming weeks. I want to show a little bit of the recent release of Noir magazine. The physical copy came out last week, available through Amazon. And just briefly on some movie-related books that I've been reading. But first of all, I need to acknowledge and also to give a thanks from my channel for passing the 1,000 subscriber level earlier this month in July. It's a real honor, for for me. I would have never thought when I started this channel in January of 2021 that would ever happen. People would want to watch a septuagenarian Babylon for 15 minutes about a movie. But it's been very rewarding and so satisfying, and being part of a movie community has been great. And I have to give a shout out to some of the channels. I can't name them all, but some of the channels that always provide me with inspiration, support. Mike over at Gray 1951, he's become a great friend. Solitary Ronin has a fantastic channel, and like me, he's very interested in movies that, even more than me, in movies that fly under the radar, movies that no one else talks about. Chris Mohan. I love it when he makes a movie video. Mike over at Dag Films, he just makes really enjoyable videos. There's a new channel that came out earlier this year, Neil's Movie Channel, just a terrific addition to MovieTube. And if I ever need a dose of inspiration, enthusiasm, I watch John over at PlatX, because he's just full of great enthusiasm. And then there's the original channels that inspired me when I was thinking about starting a channel. One is Robert Bellissimo at the Movies. He just has a great podcast and YouTube channel. I think he's the best interviewer on YouTube. He just did an interview with Jonathan Rosenbaum, a film critic, a few days ago. I love listening to Maggie at Deep Focus Lens and listening to the way she dissects movies. But I have to admit that the channel that has inspired me the most, or at least inspired me, is maybe I can do this too, is Daisuke Beppu. And though I'll never be able to talk about movies with the kind of depth and clarity that he does, and he's in LA now, no longer Greetings from Tokyo, Greetings from LA for the next couple of years. So it's great to be part of this community, and there's other great channels out there too. I can't list them all, but and getting comments, I love to get comments. I try to respond to all of them, and I have to mention one viewer who comments 2 or 3 times a week, and that's Chris Alders. And I know he comments on other movie channels as well, but he just gives he just gives such insightful comments. I always look forward to reading his comments. And going forward, my channel is very low tech. You can't get much more low tech than this, and it's sort of modeled. The kind of channels I like to watch are people who basically sit down and talk to me for a while about a movie. And I sort of look at my channel as I'm coming over to visit a friend. I sit down on a couch and we have a cup of coffee, and he says, "What did you watch?" And I go on about a movie for a while. I used to do that with my cousin, and then he'd always get enthused. "I got to see that film." But as far as making it more high tech, maybe I should get a camera and a better microphone. But I can't do the editing thing. I've tried it, and it takes me so much energy to make a video, because I often make several takes of the same video before I think there's one worthy of posting. That takes everything out of me. And if I was to start doing a lot of video editing, it would become more like a job. So this is going to be pretty much it. So, and in the future, I've almost maybe 90% of my videos are single movie videos. That's going to continue. It seems to be what I enjoy doing the most. And to make YouTube videos, you have to do the things you enjoy the most. And I love spending some time with one specific movie, going through the supplements, then watching it later with the commentary. Sometimes if there's no commentary, I still watch it again. I love doing research on the film, online research. So it's a very satisfying experience. And as a septuagenarian, I would have to say, and I don't mean to sound morbid, my demise is not imminent. I would say that I'm not probably going to watch hardly any of these movies that I'm talking about ever again. So I want to spend some time with them and give them a fond farewell, so to speak. And also, my dream job, I think, would have been as a curator or a programmer for a repertory theater, for a museum like the Dryden Theater at the Eastman House in Rochester. And so I sort of designed my channel as to be diverse. I'm not going to talk very often about the big commercial films. There's plenty of people talking about those. But if I were to program a repertory theater of my own, pretty much this is what I would, the content on my channel is pretty much what my curation would be. And I'm going to stick to a lot of new releases. I get very excited when I see new releases. I watch the Blu-ray.com website. I go there 2 or 3 times a week to see what's coming out that's new. And I'm also going to continue on with my 1973 series and other series as well. So my last few videos were Criterions. They were fairly famous titles, but I love talking about movies that no one else talks about. So coming up, I have some other non-Criterion releases that I picked up. And last night I watched There's No Tomorrow from 1939. This is a Max Ophuls movie. Kind of looks like Claire Colbert on the cover, but it's not. It's a French actress. I haven't looked up the proper pronunciation there. And a French actor that I've never heard of before, I've never seen before at least. So this was a really good film. This was right before Max Ophuls came to the United States. He was a German director, Jewish. He comes to France, makes a couple films, and then on to America. And I'm also going to be talking another new release. This is also from Kino. This is Michael, a 1925 silent film. This will be only the second silent film I've ever talked about on this channel. And it's by Carl Theodor Dreyer, one of the classic cinema's great directors. Someday I'm going to talk about my favorite Dreyer movie, Or Dead, which was from the 1950s. I've shown this next release already, the renowned Westerns from Bud Bedecker. So that also is going to be coming up soon. And then another new release is coming out Tuesday. That's Force of Evil, with a John Garfield movie, a film noir, with a commentary by Imogen Sarah Smith, and more about Imogen Sarah Smith in a little bit. So in my 1973, my next series of three films from '73, I'm going to do Federico Fellini's Amarcord from the Essential Fellini box. It's somewhere over there on the other side of the room. And I'm also pairing that up. This will be an all-European mini-series of 73 movies. So I'm also going to be covering scenes from A Marriage, Ingmar Bergman film, which I saw in the theatrical version. But I've been watching the 5-part TV series, which is the original version. And it's streaming on the Criterion channel. I've got one more episode to go, and all the supplements are there as well. So I saved a little money for the Criterion sale that is sadly now over. And then the third one in that little mini-series of European films will be Property is No Longer a Theft, and this is an Italian film, Elio Petri. Now, As far as miniseries go, I really love doing them. I did one on Peck and Paul. I did one on another one on David Cronenberg. I want to continue to do those kinds of little 3-movie miniseries. Barbara Stanwyck in the 1930s, perhaps. Continue on with Cronenberg. Francis Ford Coppola, which a little series I would call After the Apocalypse. What were the films that Coppola made after the apocalypse? Apocalypse Now. But the year after Apocalypse Now, Coppola made One from the Heart, and that was, as far as his own financial fortunes, that was his apocalypse because his Zoetrope studio went bankrupt from that disaster. But I want to revisit. I've seen all those films. I want to revisit those and see if there's some real jewels in his subsequent filmography, which I'm sure there is. So I'm full of ideas. A couple weeks ago, I was thinking, boy, I'm looking old. I'm looking tired. I'm feeling kind of old and tired. And maybe I should cut back. I pretty much average 3 videos a week, which is quite a lot. But I'm filled with some new exuberance. I don't know how long that's going to last. And so I have ideas to do series, many more series than I have time to do. So now I just want to briefly show, I've done this with the other Noir City magazines from the Film Noir Foundation. This is a digital magazine. Its editor, Vince Keegan, inaugurated a couple of years ago a physical release that's just beautiful. It's available from Amazon for $14.99. I think there's about three a year that come out. Now, Vince Keegan was the editor. He is stepping down, and the new editor, I told you there would be Imogen Sarah Smith, and there she is. She's the new editor. This is still Keegan's issue, but she promises going forward that there's going to be a renewed emphasis on international noir, which I would really look forward to. And then the cover story, Stoner Noir. What would be Stoner Noir? Well, of course, Joaquin Phoenix in Inherent Vice. This also covers and makes the connections back to A Long Goodbye, 1973 movie, which I will be talking about soon. And forward to The Big Lebowski, Inherent Vice, and Under the Silver Lake. And Under the Silver Lake is a movie that I really like, and one of these days I'm going to talk about it. Andrew Garfield, it's Riley Keough, Elvis's granddaughter. And then we get a really good article on Hinged. This is about Timothy Carey, the character actor Timothy Carey, who was indeed unhinged. And he sort of alienated everybody he worked with in his career. Here he is on, even Kubrick was fond of him, but he even eventually alienated Kubrick, and that's from this iconic shot from Paths of Glory. And he made a film called The World's Greatest Sinner. I've never heard of this film. He wrote it, he produced it, he directed it, and it got, according to this article, it got terrific reviews, comments from Martin Scorsese, John Cassavetes. If you've ever seen it, please let me know. An article on the trial coming out soon on Criterion, UHD, Orson Welles' version of Kafka's novel. This is a great article, and they always have some great photographs from behind the scenes. So we see Orson and John Moreau and Anthony Perkins. So another terrific article here. And then we get an article, Architects of Illusion. And this is all about the art directors of film noir, studio by studio. And they really do contribute so much to the mood of noir. And here's a great behind the scenes shot as well. This is from Laura. And you can catch Clifton Webb, Gene Tierney over there. Well, where is Otto Preminger? I believe that looks like Otto Preminger right there. Again, it's just magnificent layout and photographs. The articles are terrific. They're not academic, so there's no academic jargon to sift through. Story on Walter Matthau, his connections with noir, including Charlie Varick, which I covered a couple years ago, and The Laughing Policeman from 1973. So that'll be another addition to my series from 1973. We get Noir or Not. This is a monthly feature covering straw dogs, and I did a series on Peckinpah. I admire straw dogs. I know it's a controversial movie, whether it's noir or not. I liked it. And then Book to Film, we always get one of those. That's a constant feature. There's Susan George from Straw Dogs. She was just magnificent in Straw Dogs. And then Ride the Pink Horse, Book to Film, Dorothy B. Hughes' novel, and Robert Montgomery's screen adaptation. Then we get some reviews of recent Blu-ray releases. Here is The Lady from Shanghai, highly recommended. Imogen Sarah Smith again. She did a commentary, also a commentary from Tim Lucas. Some book reviews, The Architecture of Suspense. And this is the built world in the films of Alfred Hitchcock. There's so much stuff on it. He's got to be the most written about film director. His film's the most written about. They're very rich. You can come at them in many different ways. And this is about the design of the architectural design of the various structures in Hitchcock's films. And then I've already talked about in a previous video Quentin Tarantino's recent release of Cinema Speculation. And then there is Perplexing Plots, Popular Storytelling and the Poetics of Murder. And this is the cover of that. Now, film books are expensive, but I was able to find Perplexing Plots. This is by David Bordwell. Hoopla, even though this is a recent release, Hoopla has it available for free. You can borrow for 21 days. It's a substantial book, 500 pages. I downloaded it yesterday, read the first 50 pages. It was really good. And in the back cover, there is a shot, and it's not identified anywhere in the magazine that I could find, but it's a great shot. And is that Joan Leslie and Frank Ottone? I don't know. It seems to be, so I'm thinking. First, I thought repeat performance, but Frank Ottone was not in that film. But Lewis Hayward, I don't know, maybe that's Lewis Hayward, or maybe it's a totally different film. Anybody who's still listening who recognizes this picture, please let me know. So I'm reading Perplexing Plots, but I'm also rereading The Trial in anticipation of Orson Welles' the Orson Welles movie being released in September. I'm also reading John Steinbeck's East of Eden on Tuesday. I believe this is coming out in UHD. James Dean's first of his 3 starring roles in his career. I've never read this before. I read the first chapter, really liked it. It's a long time since I've read anything by John Steinbeck. And one more shout out, I mentioned this book in my video on Sancho the Bailiff, and this is Kenji Michiguchi and the Art of Japanese Cinema by Tadao Sato. You can find Sato's commentaries or his interviews, discussions with many different Japanese films that are on Criterion. Just a great book. I get this from my library, and my renewals are up, so I've got in a few days I have to return this. But I've been on the Criterion channel. There's like 12 more Michiguchi movies, and I've been watching them and then reading what Sato has to say about it. Again, very expensive book. Well, $35, kind of expensive for a paperback book. Film books tend to be very expensive. Okay, thanks a lot for everybody who managed to listen. I do appreciate it. Comments are always welcome. Take care.